My friend and I like doing the Saturday puzzles in the Times together, and we've recently started doing the square roots puzzles, which are quite difficult. They involve filling a number of words into a grid, and you're told the positions in which the words start and the positions of the vowels. To help me solve them, I developed a computer code, initially in Excel and then in standalone Visual Basic, but it's now available as an Android app. And the link to the app is in the description for the video. It is free on Google Play. So we'll look at how you can use the app to help you solve the puzzle and get a feel of how to solve them better yourself. So it's not just a way of cheating and getting the answer, it does help you learn how to solve the puzzles. So today we'll look at last week's square roots puzzle number 233, which I've just written out and just in case I have any copyright issues. So here we have square roots 233. We have 7 words to fit into the grid, which are actually all parts of names of Carry On films. So we've got Carry On Abroad, Carry On Behind, etc., etc. And then we've got our grid scribbled out here on the left-hand side. In the newspaper there are coloured squares denoting where words start, which I've marked just with these squiggles. And then there are asterisks denoting where vowels are. We can see on this puzzle we've got a big clue in that only one of the starting squares is asterisked. So, and there's only one word that starts with a vowel. So we know for definite that that 4th cell on the first row is going to be an A. Let's think about where abroad could go from there. Well, it could go A, B, R, O, but then there's not another asterisk square next to that to put an A, so we can't go that way. It could go A, B, R, O, or A, B, R, O, and then back up to the A again, and then the D would be the side you hadn't already used. Or it could go A, B, R, O, A, D. It's quite interesting to note that this double vowel business is quite useful. That here we can go back on ourselves with the OA or use 2 adjacent vowels there. But often you don't have very many adjacent vowel spaces. My app's really useful because it tells you when you solve the puzzle, before it reveals the solution, you can see how many places the words will fit into the grid. And these are listed to the right of the words, as you'll see in the screenshot of the app. But I've written them down here as well. So abroad can fit in the grid 4 different ways. Clio can fit in 4 different ways, but one of those completely blocks any other solution from working. There's no way another word can fit into the grid. So that rules out one solution and brings it down to 3. So these bracketed numbers are the total number of ways words can fit in, and the unbracketed numbers are the ways that it can fit in without blocking something else completely. And it's quite useful to know these numbers without having to laboriously think about every way a word can fit in. You can easily see the words to focus on early on in your solution. So we can see that Clio only fits in 4 different ways, and Henry only fits in 9 different ways, and teacher only fits 11 different ways. So they're good places to start when you're trying to solve the puzzle. Thinking about Clio with its 4 solutions, well, this is another case where we've got a double vowel, so we're quite restricted on where it can go. So we've got a double vowel slot down here and a double vowel slot down there. If we think about these double vowels, if that was an E and an O, where would the C and the L of Clio have to be? So the only way it can get to these from those 2 is if the other shaded square was an L, and no words start with an L. So we can be pretty certain that these aren't the E and the O of Clio. They must go over here. In which case it must either go CLEO or CLEO. Or CLEO, I suppose, or CLEO, they're your 4, aren't they? So then you can focus on, you can sort of pencil in one of those and then try another word like Henry or something and work through your solution. So what I tend to do is when I'm fairly confident about something, I then stick it into my solver as a possible solution. You can, there are several ways you can solve the puzzle, which I'll run through. The first solution option is check entries. This allows you to make entries into the grid and then check whether they're right or not. Correct entries are marked in green and wrong entries are marked in red. So we might want to confirm where the C is for Clio. Note also that there are only 6 starting squares and 7 words, so 2 words must share a starting square, and these must be Clio and Cowboy because they're the only 2 words starting with the same letter. So this is another thing you could work on to try and find where the C of Clio should go. Where can it fit with Cowboy? So in my example, I've also asked it where the E and the O of Clio are, and we can see I've got those in the wrong spaces. The next solution option is reveal word, which lets you specify a word to reveal. It then asks you whether you want to clear the existing output from your grid. So if you say no, you can build up an answer by a combination of your own guesses and revealing words. The final option we have is reveal solution, which just reveals the whole solution if you've done all the solving by hand, for example. The one other feature is the ability to save and reload puzzles you're working on, which allows you to come back to them later. You simply give them an arbitrary name as a file name. So maybe that ended up being quite a weird video, being a bit about solving puzzles and a bit about the app. But anyway, I hope it gave you some hints of how to solve square roots puzzles. Thanks for watching.